What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's out there. Look, the demo itself was, of course, recovered and played on development kits from what we've been seeing on Twitter, and it looks like now people have started to data mine those files, and they're finding all kinds of stuff from the game. It is crazy, some of the stuff that they're checking out. We'll talk a little bit about that here and some of the possibilities of a port of this game down the road that's kind of being hinted at by the files. I won't spoil anything for you, but if you really want to see it, you can go online and it's all over the place. Nintendo also won a fairly large court case against a person in California who was actually selling pirated copies of games and other ways to circumvent the Switch's security, which we'll go over, and Mother 4. I know, I just said Mother 4. It's been rebranded. We have a new name for it and a new trailer. It's a fan-made game, but you don't want to miss it. It looks pretty awesome. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you're hitting that like button. It helps out a ton, and you guys have been helping all the videos over the past month or so. I really appreciate it. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe down below. We're pushing towards 400,000 subscribers now, less than 25,000 away, and it's really exciting to see that. We're actually going to start today with the Switch in the UK, mostly because over the holidays, as I think most of us probably saw at our local stores, the Switch was selling like crazy. I think a lot of it had to do with Pokemon and a lot of the evergreen titles as well, and Luigi's Mansion 3, but the Switch has been moving massively off of shelves. Even at my local Walmart and other places, they were running very, very low on stock after seeing just tons of Switch units in those glass shelves and counters and everything. They're like empty. Well, it looks like in the UK, it's gotten to the point now where these Switch systems are completely gone. You can't find them. And if you go to Nintendo UK, they were sold out. And if you do something like go to Game, they're completely sold out. And the best price you can find right now is $500 to $600. It is absolutely crazy, which does make me wonder, what kind of number are we going to see from Nintendo in roughly a month at the end of January when they report in on sales? We've already heard that it's past the Xbox One, but we haven't heard from Nintendo themselves. But to hear reports where it's completely sold out, it makes me think that, yes, it's probably past the Xbox One, and you know what? It probably really has passed the Super Nintendo even already. Oh, also, I want to bring this to your attention, just in case you're a Switch Lite owner, and you're waiting for that flip case. Do you remember that thing? We saw that. It was in Japan specifically, and we were hoping it would leave Japan and go everywhere else in the world, and we eventually got an announcement that it was, and it's actually available now. I just kind of came across it on Walmart and Amazon and a few other places, including GameStop. It is available for purchase now. I will admit, I think $40, here's a listing from Walmart. I think $40 is a bit much for the flip cover. The idea here is it wraps around the back, and of course it'll close and then open, and it has little indents there for the joysticks. I do think that might be a little much, but of course, I ordered one, so we'll take a look at it here on the channel just for fun. It'll probably be a pretty quick video of us checking it out and unboxing it and all of that and giving some initial impressions, but I see the appeal of it. It's pretty cool to have that as kind of a small form factor case for your Switch Lite to keep it all covered up on the front. But if you want to already order it, it is available now on Amazon and other places. I don't know if it's in store, but I do know online it is currently available at $40. We also had IGN who announced that they will be dropping the 100-point review score system and just going to a standard 10-point system. So before, you might get a game that was 6.3, which the decimal thing always threw me off. Because 0.3 versus, let's say it was a 6.4 or 6.3, or is it a 6.5? That's where it kind of gets hard to really distinguish what makes it a 6.4 or 6.5 or any of that. They were basically going from 1 to 100 and threw a decimal point in the middle there. But now they're just going 1 through 10, and they even kind of gave us a little graphic there as to how, I guess, they're going to grade everything from terrible and painful all the way up to masterpiece. I would like to see IGN use more of that scale. I'd like to see everyone use more of the review scale, where 5 is more average, then you go either up or down from there, and I think 10s really need to be carefully given out. We shouldn't have a bunch of 10s in a generation, but either way, at least they're trying to make it a bit more simplified, so we'll probably just get a lot of 7s and 8s from now on, to be honest. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get in the bigger stuff. Let's start with this Final Fantasy VII Remake Datamined leak. There's a lot of stuff that has now appeared online, so if you're trying to be careful about any types of spoilers, and I mean character reveals, because keep in mind, the characters that I'm talking about, we've really seen in, like, obviously the original, PS1 visuals, and we've seen some things in Advent Children and others, for example, and some cutscenes, but, like, I'm talking about in the current visuals that we've seen that look ridiculous and very, very good, and how they're going to play into what actually looks to be a slightly altered story. Even the demo changes a little bit up right in the beginning that you will hopefully see whenever they decide to unlock this demo so we can, play it. It's been on the PlayStation Store for a little while now, and I was hoping it would be unlocked by now, but maybe next week. However, things are changing in that Final Fantasy VII story, so just because we know the Final Fantasy VII story doesn't necessarily mean we know everything that is going to be in Part 1, by the way, of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we are seeing weapons, mini-bosses, events or pictures and screenshots from events, and yeah, some of it looks a bit different. So I'm excited there. I looked through them just to see if there was anything too crazy. I only saw maybe 2 scenes that were like, okay, yeah, that is a big spoiler, even though I've played through Final Fantasy VII multiple times. So yeah, I took a look just to see if there was anything that mind-blowing for anyone else out there who might come across them. Yeah, there's some stuff on there. But the other interesting thing is, we of course know that Final Fantasy VII is going to be going to other platforms later on. It's right on the front of the box art. It's basically like, hey, it's a 1-year PlayStation 4 exclusive, and then after that, we assume at least PC. Could even be Xbox, right? Why not? Who knows? Even the Switch is a possibility at this point from what we've been seeing with things like Witcher 3. But we did get a bit more of, I guess, a clue for it going to PC after its timed exclusivity is up. Now on Twitter, Roxanne has actually been going through all of the different files in the demo to kind of pull and data mine some of this stuff. So I guess if you want to see some of the leaks, you can go check out Roxanne's Twitter account there. It says, yeah, I already discussed this yesterday in Discord with others that there are many, many signs inside the demo that we will see a future PC port sooner or later. There's PC code still left inside, and it mentions various higher resolutions together with some NVIDIA and AMD stuff. Roxanne also mentions that it is apparently 1080p and will probably be upscaled for the PlayStation 4 Pro. That'll be an interesting Digital Foundry video to check out to see visual quality of this game. Although, hopefully when I play the demo on the PS4 Pro, it'll already kind of have something set up for it to be used, and it's not just like the base PS4 version that just uses boost mode or something on the PS4 Pro. But I'm excited to get that in front of me so I can see what it looks like away from just like the compression and stuff of YouTube. But yeah, surprising, right? Not really. A PC port makes a ton of sense for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think it'll sell well there. The Xbox, I mean, I think it'll do okay there. I think it would do pretty well on the Switch, but we'll see what plans they have in a year. That's right. So we have to wait until March 2021. Actually, maybe a little before then to see what they announce, but we're going to have to wait a bit to see what it really looks like on something like a PC with a high-end video card, because the game already looks crazy on the PS4. Man, you put that on possibly NVIDIA's newer 3000 series cards that are coming up, and it's going to look crazy. Next up, let's talk about Nintendo going after someone who is actually hacking and selling stuff from their system. Surprising, right? No, of course not, because if we've seen Nintendo do some crazy stuff to people trying to distribute ROMs, or from what we're seeing here, a person actually selling SD cards full of ROMs and devices to hack the Switch, and you can buy those online. It's pretty easy because they're like paper clips, and I'm sure they can sell them as something else, but oh yeah, it really hacks your Switch. Well, Nintendo went after this person who's a California resident back in 2018 of December, and it's taken a while to get to this point where we have an injunction and we have everything decided. Now, Torrent Freak had the story here, saying the judgment then goes on to restrain the defendant and anyone acting in concert with him from circumventing, offering services, and or offering technologies, devices, or components that circumvent Nintendo's technical protection measures. He's also restrained from selling, renting, offering, or distributing unauthorized copies of Nintendo's copyrighted works, infringing its trademarks, or using the internet or any digital network to provide services to the public that enable copyright infringement of Nintendo's works. Now, the interesting part about this is Nintendo didn't seem to hit them with a massive fine. I mean, remember we saw that ROM site, millions of dollars. Like, I don't know what you do that if you're the owner of that ROM site and you're like at your house and something shows up and it's like, oh yeah, you're being sued for millions of dollars by Nintendo. I don't know what you do about that. That's just I don't know, you're in some trouble then, right? Well, it seems that this person who was selling quite a few of their own copywritten entities, nothing happened. Like they got in trouble to the point where they're restrained now from doing it, but they seem to get off pretty light here with a warning. So that's a bit surprising. Nintendo usually goes pretty serious with this stuff to try to make an example and just say, hey, look what happened to them. You better not do this yourself. And we've even seen Sony go through some pretty serious hoops to catch people by even ordering PlayStation 4s from people who were selling hacked ones with games on them to catch them red-handed. So yes, these companies do this quite a bit to try to catch people, to try to make examples. I'm actually just a little surprised Nintendo didn't go like really hard on this person. Now, one thing that was originally reported, I think it was a miscommunication and it was getting passed around. This person who was part of this injunction, this court case, is not actually part of Team Executor. That was originally reported and then it spread. They appear to be independent from Team Executor, but they were using, it seems, some of Team Executor's stuff that helps circumvent the Switch. Now they are not allowed to, I guess, use that stuff anymore. In fact, they seem to have to prove to Nintendo that they don't have that stuff anymore. But surprise, you can't sell Nintendo's stuff online as ROM files with tons of them on an SD card and then explain to people how to hack their Switch, provide them a tool, and then have them give you possibly hundreds of dollars. Apparently, that is illegal and will get you into trouble. Shocker. Next up, let's talk about Mother 4. I mean, it was Mother 4. Look, there are a lot of fan games out there, right? We see them all the time. They pop up constantly, and then what happens? Well, if they're using names and likenesses from a company, like we see it with Nintendo all the time, they shut it down. We've even seen Microsoft, of course, shut down there was a Halo project they shut down. The companies have to, because it's their IPs and they may not be represented correctly with another entity or another company that they cannot control, or a group of people. They can't control what they're going to do with their own characters, right? They could do anything with Mario, who knows? So they have to pretty much do their due diligence, shut the stuff down and move on. Well, it looks like for this one, they kind of saw it coming, or they want to take precautions, because this project looks crazy. It looks really, really good. If you are an Earthbound or a Mother fan, get ready for this. This is now called Oddity. They changed the name. It's been in, I think, development for a while. I think I remember back in 2015 even. I've seen ties back to 2014. In 2017, they decided that they were going to change from being called Mother 4 because, well, that could get them into some trouble, right? Get them shut down. And then they went nameless for a while, and now they're back, rebranded. New trailer out yesterday for Oddity. And yes, this looks like the next Mother game without them calling it Mother. And I like that they did that, because I don't think it would have gotten out otherwise. And I'm okay, because we know in spirit that it's the idea is to be the next Mother game that probably wouldn't exist otherwise. We can't even get Mother 3 localized over here. You think Mother 4 is going to exist at some point? I mean, I guess it could someday, but most likely it will not. So hey, I'm excited for this. They didn't really give a release date or anything. They just say it'll be ready when it's ready, basically. So we'll keep an eye on this to see when we get a release date and all of that. I'm excited to check this out and play through what's basically a brand new Mother game. But if you were not aware of this, go check out the trailer and let me know down below what you think of it so far. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about EA, but some good news at EA. I know it's not very common that we have good news out of EA nowadays, although we did just have Jedi Fallen Order. That was a great game. I really liked it. Kind of buggy, kind of glitchy, but the overall game itself was great, and I hope we see a sequel. And I think we actually might. I think that is going to happen, which is great, because it looks like EA is kind of going all in here with Vince Zampella, now moving him, it seems, to DICE LA to take over that studio, change the name, possibly restructure, and develop their own straight up game, own original game. Now, I do still think you'll see Jedi Fallen Order get a sequel of some kind down the road from Respawn, but after the success of Apex Legends, which it was successful, yes, and then of course we see Jedi Fallen Order get good reviews, no real controversy around it, a solid seller from what we're hearing, it makes sense that EA would say, hey, Vince, go take over DICE LA. We'll change. It's going to be rebranded. They're going to change it up, and it's going to become a different studio apparently. And they'll probably do some hiring for this original project that they're doing. I'm excited to see what happens here. Obviously, this is probably a game for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, because if they're just now having him take over that studio and rebrand it, that means their project's probably just starting up, and it'll be a couple of years at least before we even probably see this thing. But my biggest thing here EA is still involved. So as much as we want to trust, because I mean, Vince was able to say, hey, get away from Fallen Order. Okay, we're going to make this. We're not going to pay microtransactions in it. How many times did he tell us that and people still didn't believe it until the game came out? Hey, Vince has some pull there. So I hope, once again, he keeps EA away. They have Apex Legends. They make a lot of money from that. You guys stay over there. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make a really good game that is just a straight up game. Because it worked with Jedi Fallen Order, why not let him go do another one, an original one that doesn't even need to have Star Wars to sell? It's exciting. And hey, I mean, it can't be worse than Anthem, right? And we'll finish up the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Aaron saying, if you put a cartridge in the Switch, that game title will come to the top. And that is true. For physical collectors, people who have all of their games on a shelf and they take them off and they pop them in, they probably don't really understand the whole thing with the menu system. It more or less gets to the point when you go all digital or you are like mostly digital that you start to realize that the menu system is not set up very well. Like it really is not designed around digital purchases where you have an overflowing amount of them. And with all those indie titles, it's strange because Nintendo has leaned into the digital side of the Switch heavily. It's a portable system that is designed to be carried around quite a bit without all of your cartridges. And a lot of the indie games are digital only. Nintendo has leaned into the indie side quite heavily now. So it is weird to me that Nintendo hasn't really caught up with that, with their menu system, folders, maybe being able to put more than just those massive icons on there, resize them. There's a lot of stuff they can do, and I hope they do it because the Switch is getting a lot of really good games, and it's strange to me that the biggest problem people are now having is something that Nintendo probably should have fixed like a year or two ago, and that just being the front menu of the system. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. Enjoyed this video, guys. Hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Nintendo and their injunction versus the hackers and the pirates. Let me know what you think about all of that, where they didn't seem to do a lot to them. I mean, the person's not allowed to sell anything anymore, and they probably wouldn't anyway, especially if you get hit with a fine, but they kind of let them off the hook from what we're seeing so far. Also, what do you think about Vince Zampella taking over DICE LA and rebranding it and working on a new project? Interesting stuff there. And then what about the Mother 4 turning into Oddity? Let me know, guys, down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.